If people are dieting now more than ever before, then why are nearly 1 in 3 American adults overweight? Dr. Gundry, who's helped thousands lose weight and feel younger and healthier than ever, says most people are not getting enough fat-burning MCTs from their food. MCTs are a special kind of compound that instead of turning into fat when you consume it, turns into ketones, which is a chemical that breaks down the excess fat in your body. So, by getting more MCTs in your diet, you essentially flip a switch that puts your body in caloric bypass mode, which can flush out excess fat and calories. And he's created an easy way for you to activate caloric bypass right at home. It's called MCT Wellness. This powerful blend of fat-flushing MCT powders and antioxidant-rich polyphenols is designed to help you unlock your body's fat-burning, energy-producing potential. What's even better is that it's a delicious drink. I love how incredible it tastes. All you do is add a scoop to water, enjoy, and watch as you start feeling slimmer and more energized. So, if you want to experience a quick, easy, and effective way to melt pounds fast, go to GundryMD.com/energy and order right now to get up to 53% off your regular price order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's GUNDRYMD.com/energy.
Do you know what it takes to be iconic? You are iconic. I am iconic. I love iconic because when you're thirsty, there's only one way to hydrate, and that's with the world's best tasting spring water on earth. Hydrate responsibly. Iconic Agua, where hydration meets greatness.
Welcome to 3 Yards Per Carry, a podcast covering the Miami Dolphins and the NFL. Now, here's your hosts, Chris, Alf, and Simon.
And we're on, and this is not a victorious 3 yards per carry, so you're not hearing the music to start the show. It's been 2 weeks in a row. Maybe for losing, I should put a different sound effect, maybe a fart noise or something like that. I don't know, something different. As always, this show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Use the promo code 3 yards, that's the number, 3 yards, and get this promotion. Make a $5 play, they give you $50. I'm not making that up. Like, that actually happens. So when you go on there, you open an account and you use our promo code 3 yards. That's the number, 3 yards, and you make a $5 play. And why wouldn't you make a $5 play if you're opening up an account, right? You get $50. Simple as that. And of course, betteredge.com. Go to betteredge.com/5 reasons. You get $20 just for signing up. Check out our Discord, where that place was a doozy on Sunday last night. They were going deep. There was people going at it at 5:00 in the morning Eastern time.
It was good fun this morning, though. There was some really good chat this morning. Good kind of.
Yeah, there was some good chat. There was some guy losing his mind at 5:00 in the morning. I thought it was hilarious.
Was that Simon?
Yeah, probably.
No, it wasn't Simon. It was others, but it was pretty fun. That place was a fun place yesterday.
Who is this hero so I can dap him up?
Yeah. By the way, you're hearing Simon Clancy. You're hearing Chris Kaufman. It's a full boat for today. You want to become a member? Discord.gg/OnlyFins, and you become a member there for $3 a month. I know some of you keep hitting me up on Twitter like, hey, why is it charging me $3.99? Well, because you're doing it on your phone, buddy. Get on a desktop and you avoid the Apple upcharge. Try it on a desktop and it'll be $2.99. But we say $3 a month because, they don't let us charge $3 flat. It has to be $2.99 for whatever reason on Discord. But join us. Discord.gg/OnlyFans. All right. In our preview show, we expected them to lose. We even kind of got this part of the game right, which is we thought the defense would keep them in the game, give them a chance. We had no idea that this offense was going to be as inept, embarrassing. I don't know what other words you can use.
All
Simon,
the bad ones.
All of them.
Simon, you're pretty good at this. You're a writer. Give me some words. What other words can you use for this offense? Because I don't know. I don't know what you can. And look, a lot of people don't like EP. I do. I happen to think it's a real stat. Uh, the only worst performance by an offense this year was by the Cleveland Browns, which is apropos.
Hmm.
They were
I,
god awful. We're
I,
going to
I
talk
think
about the game, but Simon, what, how do you want to describe what that offense produced?
Well, I just think there's a bigger picture to all this, Alf, and I think we've been talking about it privately. We've been talking about on OnlyFins today, and you talk about the sort of what sort of sound effect. I mean, probably the noise of a car crash, based on what happened yesterday, would probably be apposite. But look, you just mentioned it there. I don't think the defeat was anything shocking. I don't think either you, me, or Chris were surprised that was happened. But I think to me, it was the manner of this defeat that I just found so offensive, and some of the language that was used around it, both pre and post game. And I'll get to Mike McDaniel in a minute. But look, I think the Skylar Thompson experiment was an unmitigated disaster. You know, you don't want to see anybody injured, but it was, to me, a blessing in many ways that he came out of the game almost to protect himself from himself. But the fact that we then had to turn to Tim Boyle, to me, is just another damning indictment of the personnel department. And it's nothing against Tim Boyle. But, you know, I look at what's happening in Carolina yesterday, and Andy Dalton turns in. I mean, I watched Andy Dalton on All 22 today. He was unbelievable, unbelievable. And our backup plan is Skylar Thompson. Yeah, you have one of the most injury-prone starting quarterbacks in the NFL, and your backup plan is Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle.
Yeah, and by the way, I hate to interrupt you, but
No,
Sam
don't.
Darnold. I don't know if you watched Sam Darnold yesterday.
Yeah, I'm going to get to Donald in a sec. You know, I mean,
the guy is playing like a top 5 quarterback. He's an MVP candidate.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the leader in the clubhouse. And, you know, when we're sitting there with Thompson and Boyle, you know, and to me, that just, and I've said it before, I've said it on OnlyFins, I've said it on social media, we're not a serious team. And you can't be a serious team if that is your backup plan. And I think ultimately that is a dereliction of duty on behalf of the general manager. It is. You know, you're telling me, Chris and I had this conversation this morning, you're telling me that Mike White couldn't have run that offense more efficiently yesterday. You know, Miami should pick Mike White off the Bills practice squad this morning. In fact, I'm shocked that it's not been done already, and bring him back now and cut both Thompson and Boyle. Why would you ever keep Skylar Thompson around at this point? Why? I'm sure he's a lovely guy, and I'm trying not to call for somebody to lose their job. But why? This is a professional sports business. Why? You know, 3 years in the system, and that was the return after 3 years. And now the problem is manifested to the point where fans are turning Tyler Huntley into, you know, Michael Vick. I'm sure it will be better with Huntley, but, you know, there's going to be a shock to the system when we realize that Huntley is is Huntley. And worse still, you're looking around the league and specifically at that Shanahan tree of coaches, and you see Kevin O'Connell going 3-0 with Sam Darnold, who, as we just mentioned, to me is probably the clubhouse leader for most valuable player after 3 games. I know it's only 3 games. And I know this rant is after only 3 games. But you got Sean McVay with an injury crisis of massive biblical proportions, beating the defending NFC champions. Matt LaFleur going 2-0 with back-to-back brilliant game plans, genuinely brilliant game plans with Malik Willis, who's been on the team for a month, 4 weeks. And yet
19, he was, by the way, I was going to get to that. He was 19 days from the day he got traded to the day that he won a game against the Colts. 19 days.
Unbelievable.
On Monday, it'll be 14 days for Tyler Huntley. I say close enough.
At one point in the fourth quarter, I think he had 4 incompletions across the 2 games on about 42 throws.
He has 5 total now in 2 games.
Ridiculous. And yet we're here with McDaniel, and I'm not out on McDaniel at all, but I think there is time for us to sit up and have a grown-up conversation, who I think has stunningly regressed as a coach in 2024. You know, he's continuing to outthink himself on what seems like a drive-by-drive basis. You know, I think 2 of the 3 game plans this season, Buffalo and yesterday, were about as bad as they could possibly be. I've questioned where the grown-ups are in the building that thought it was a good idea for Tua to travel 12 hours there and back to Seattle. But who was looking at that game plan on Thursday and Friday and Saturday last week thinking that we needed to throw 32 times and not telling McDaniel to change it up? You know, Chris has some great points on OnlyFins about running situationally and the fact that we passed. I think we had, I looked at this morning, I think we had 16 passes and 1 run between 8:38 to go in the second quarter and our second possession of the third quarter. But that was situational in terms of penalties and sacks and all those things. So there was probably a reason to it, but the disappearing act of Jalen Wright, all those sorts of things. I defended McDaniel on Twitter and on OnlyFins, and I know he has the new contract. But to me, this seat is now beginning to get warm. And I get that his quarterback is hurt, but McVay and LaFleur and O'Connell continue to show how they can evolve. And this kind of zany, I'm the smartest guy in the room shtick is beginning to wear a bit thin on me. He's not the one jumping offside. He's not lining up incorrectly or motioning illegally or holding or all those things. But these things are a direct reflection on him. He's helped build a weak team that have no guts on the road, that shrinks in the face of adversity. His play calls have become anathema to what we're trying to do. And actually, play calling, again, Chris and I talked about this yesterday, play calling should probably be taken off him. And the mistakes and the unforced errors and the penalties are a reflection of this team that's molded in his image. So all these fun things that we've got, the rent a quote, the posh watches, the sneakers, the race against the cameraman in New England, the sunglasses, that's great. That's great if you can back it up. He's won 3 games of merit, big games of merit since he took over. At home at Buffalo, at home to Dallas, on the road at Baltimore when they were down 35-14, which frankly, on the evidence of the Ravens over the last year, was as much down to their abysmal fourth quarter defense as it was anything else. He can't back anything up at this point. And then yesterday to, rub salt in the wound, we had this after game stuff. And I get that in the post-game press conference, he can't go in and slam Skylar Thompson. But to say, I think Skylar did a good job operating the offense, come on. I mean, that's just pissing in my ear and telling me it's raining. Can you imagine Bill Belichick saying that? Prime Bill Belichick. And as for Chris Greer, I've told you boys privately before this season, I didn't think this team was very good, right? And maybe they will turn around. It's week 3, and I get that this is overreaction week 3, right? But they have absolutely, and to me, they have absolutely and unequivocally fumbled the chance they had to rebuild this team properly. And that is on Chris Greer. And I think we've become so used to mediocrity because basically that's where we've mired for so many years that we took last season as wonderfully joyful because we haven't won a playoff game since my missus was 13 years old and she's nearly 40. And who joined the organization that season? It was Chris Greer. I think we had this discussion this morning on OnlyFins. There's like a protective bubble around him. It's built by Steve Ross and Tom Garfinkel and Dan Marino and Brandon Shaw, this little kind of coven of people protecting him. If Miami go 5-12 and miss the playoffs, I would not be at all surprised if Greer stayed in position and they used the tour injury as why he didn't get a fair crack. How could they fire the guy when you lose your franchise quarterback? But the offensive line is a joke. That's on him. The backup quarterback position is a joke. That's on him. Massive contracts and big trades and losing picks and wasting draft picks. Did Jalen Ramsey need another big contract? That's all on him. You can go through all the drafts, the Josh Rosens, the Dieters, why didn't we trade up for worse? Why didn't we trade? Why didn't we pick Justin Jefferson when we sat there? You trade up for Eichenberg and you could have taken Creed Humphrey as the best center in football now. In 2022, you're crying out for offensive line and tight end help, and you've got Isaiah Likely and Zach Tom sat there, and we take 2 of the most unready NFL prospects in the draft. And now they're clinging on to what's left of their careers on a roster where one is on the practice squad and, doesn't even get called. I mean, I know he got called up yesterday, but the first 2 weeks didn't even get called up, And it's very easy for us, 3 of us, and I know I'm speaking for me. I'm not necessarily sure I'm speaking for both of you, but maybe I am. But it's easy for us to sit here and retrospectively say that the player team A picked and is now thriving is better than the player we picked, or that we should have moved around the draft board differently when we had the chance. But it's really hard to continually justify and find ways to justify these bad picks because what you're doing isn't picking players who can necessarily be world beaters for day one, although that would be great. But what we're trying to do in the draft, especially on a good team, is find guys where you don't have to pay them unreal money, or you don't have to pay a guy unreal money to retain him because you've got a rookie or a second-year guy on 3rd or 4th round money who can do the job and save you masses of cap space. Now, that's not couch GMing. To me, that's just watching Chris Greer blow the rebuild, and he has. He's blown it. The mountaintop of this rebuild is putting 70 points on Denver in week 3 of last season. That is our Everest. It's ownership, it's personnel, it's coaching, it's the players. It is an utter lack of accountability. It's the GM laughing in your face when the offensive line is terrible. It's these illegal shifts and false starts and personal fouls and holds and special team penalties week after week after week. And I'm tired, so tired. I can actually feel the emotion in my throat. I'm tired of being a fan of this train wreck. There is a lot of blame to go around. But, given the position we got ourselves in with the 3 first rounders, a trade for Hill and the window for this team to be good, this defeat yesterday, right, and all that comes with it and the position we find ourselves in overall, I don't know about you guys, in many ways, it almost feels like the lowest point of the last 2 decades because we positioned ourselves to win. Like 2020, we were in that position. I can remember the joy that we had thinking, oh my God, we're going to pick the quarterback that we all love in college. We're in this position, we've got 3 first round picks, and we've absolutely and totally blown it. And now you're in a situation where you've got a lot of high contract players whose deals you can't get out of. So you can't blow it up and start again. You've got a quarterback who we love, but whose future is so up in the air that you're either going to be forced to trade for a replacement or sign a guy in free agency or draft one high because you can't rely on him because we just don't know what's going to happen. He may come back and play. He may be healthy. He may never play again. And he might have to retire in a year where the quarterback class is really average anyway. So, I know I've been ranting and I know we're trying to keep this short, but I just don't know where to go in the short term. And to me, the long term, stunningly, looks even more bleak. And I think yesterday's performance and everything that it encompassed was a manifestation of all the frustration, disappointment, hurt, upset that we feel, that the fan base feel. And at some point, there's got to be some accountability, and I just don't see it anywhere.
Yeah. I can't say it any better. I will say this about this game. I am stunned, and I don't know. I don't even know where to begin with this, but I am stunned at the disorganization on the offensive side of football, offensive side of the football, when it's the same players on that side. It's Studsville, it's Bevel, it's Frank Smith, it's Mike McDaniel at the head. 3 years. You have a defensive staff you just got together this offseason with 4 different coaches, and they seem more organized than you are 3 weeks in. I don't know what to say. As far as, I guess, we got to talk about this game. I'll tell you one moment that I looked at the screen and I'm like, well, 2 moments. One was Jalen Wright gets a pitch around the left end, gets 9 yards, makes a hell of a cut to break a tackle. And I was watching the game with a friend, Matt, who's a member of OnlyFans, by the way. And I look at him and I go, this kid's going to be good, right? We never saw him again.
Yeah, where did he go?
Yeah,
Where did he go?
Like, where did he go? Genuinely, where did he go?
Well, he ran out of bounds, and I guess he left the stadium after he got the 9-yard gain.
Maybe he went to that Starbucks at Pike Place.
All right. That was my first, like, what is going on moment. And my second going on moment is, guys, last 10 years, that's a decade. That's 10 years, 10 seasons. 4th and 1 on the opponent's 37 to 39-yard line in the first half. How many times has a team attempted a 57-yard field goal? Either of you want to guess? Last 10 years.
I don't know.
0.
Wow.
0.
The thing is, he's got a 57-yard leg. Do you know what I mean? He's got that in his locker.
Well, it's never been attempted. It hasn't been attempted in the last 10 years in the NFL until now. Most teams go for it there. There's only been 3 punts. I think if I have these numbers correct, there's been 52 attempts to go for it. 3 punts. So no field goals. Nobody's tried the 57-yarder on 4th and 1. This is the guy that on the opening drive of the season went for it on 4th and 8 at almost midfield. But now you're in a hostile environment and you're kicking 57-yard field goals.
Well, when you should probably be punting. Let's be honest, because this is Skylar Thompson at quarterback. Then partway through the game, you're talking about Tim Boyle at quarterback, 3rd string quarterback, 2nd string quarterback.
Yeah, but
let's
on 4th
and every coach, every granite faced coach that has ever coached a game would be like, in this situation, okay, we're gonna play a little bit safer. We got our backup quarterback. We're gonna play defense. We're gonna play field position. We're gonna do those things, and that is unfortunately not what happened.
What's your bigger picture feel, Chris? I
think that the themes here are going to be why do other teams get away with what the Miami Dolphins clearly cannot get away with? And what I mean by that is, why are the Dolphins built in such a fragile manner that they can't deal with injuries at the wide receiver 3 through 5 positions? Like, forget wide receiver 1 and 2; those have been healthy. We're talking about in camp and preseason. There's a lot of chickens coming home to roost going on right now in these first 3 games, because a lot of what we're talking about right now are things that we were talking about in camp, things that we were talking about in preseason. So why is it so catastrophic that the Dolphins can't get away with having kind of mediocre, bad, even newbies, guys that have just arrived on the roster like Grant DeBose and Robbie Chosen, who has now been unchosen again. Why can't the Dolphins get away with that where other teams can? Why can't the Dolphins get away with Mike White and Skylar Thompson as the backup quarter? I look around the league, and yes, Sam Darnold is doing well, Andy Dalton is doing well, but there are some backup quarterbacks out there that are, and so the Dolphins can't get away with these things, and at some point you have to start questioning why, because the wide receiver position, we go back to the Buffalo game. Tua throws a ball which has normal timing in this offense, but Grant DeBose, is too busy with his route and doesn't look for it. It thunks off his shoulder pad and goes up for an interception. He throws another ball to Robbie Chosen, who was here last year, though he wasn't good. I don't know what that was. It wasn't a route, whatever he ran. It goes for another interception. Why can't the Dolphins get away with just having a few injuries somewhere on the roster? Why can't the Dolphins get away with having an injury with Robert Jones and not have it looking like a catastrophe because Lester Cotton's in the game? Why can't the Dolphins get away with actually winning a game with their backup quarterback and not looking like, just like you pulled somebody from the FCS and he's
bad, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's playing, and I mean this was among the worst quarterback performances I've seen for a Miami Dolphins since you would have to go back to either John Beck in 2007 or maybe even all the way back to remember when Ray Lucas took over for Jay Fiedler, and the Dolphins were at wit's end with themselves trying to figure out how this guy who looked one way in practice could not do anything but throw up on his own shoes out there. And that's what that looked like yesterday with Skylar Thompson. Why can't the Dolphins get away with these things on offense? And, talking about Mike McDaniel as a play caller, I don't want to listen, we're guys on the couch, and I get that.
Yeah.
And these are guys that know far more. And, sometimes they'll say, okay, well, what should we have called? And most of us are going to be like, either blank or drawing up the most elementary Madden plays ever. So I get that. I understand that. And I'm not trying to, the run pass split, I get that too. Maybe you should have run more, but when talk about run pass split, I'm going to look at first down, right? Because that's the one that's not really situational. First down, 1st and 10, unless it's goal line, something like that. I'm going to look at first down and what you did there, because third down is purely situational, almost purely situational. If it's anything above 3rd and 1, if it's a 3rd and 2 or above, almost every team is passing it almost every time, right? But then second down can also be pretty situational too, in a way. But first down, I'm going to look at it, and the Dolphins on their first down play calls, I mean, they netted 100 yards on 13 pass calls, yesterday, with Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyd before, while the game was actually competitive, before the Seahawks went up that final touchdown and the Dolphins had 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. And at that point, it's garbage time, whatever. Nobody gives a shit. So before that, we're talking about, I think it was something like 13 pass calls to 9 run calls on first down. But the pass calls were the productive ones. They were not just getting 100 plus yards on it. They were actually succeeding, gaining some yardage on the overwhelming majority of those plays. Whereas the run calls, they gained, I think, they netted 2 yards per play on their 9 run calls. And only 4 of them were successful. Only 4 of those 9 run calls were successful. So, I mean, we're going to sit here and we're going to say, oh, they should have run more. They should have run more. And I get that. And I understand that. But we're talking about first down where the run calls were actually the not successful calls. The pass calls were the successful calls. And then what ended up happening is you got yourself in these bad second down and third down situations because of penalties, because of, losses of yardage. Sacks or not a sack, only one sack really on first down. But all these kind of extraneous plays, situations that happened. So I don't want to get too far into the play call rabbit hole just because of where we are as fans versus where they are as coaches. But I will say this: why is it year three and operationally you are still a disaster as far as getting the play off before the play clock runs down? Okay. Tua was masking a lot of that, but even Tua was in trouble with the play clock really in all 3 years. It happened this year before he went out with the concussion. It was certainly happening last year. In fact, Tua himself, and this is, Tua is not the kind of guy that puts people on blast publicly, right? But after the Kansas City game, I mean, he kind of straight up said it. He's like, by the time I get to the line of scrimmage, if somebody's lined up wrong or something like that, I don't have any time to fix it. I don't have time to fix it. We're so tight on the play clock all the time that I don't have time to fix it. Well, Tua could at least get guys organized in the huddle, get them up to the line of scrimmage, and at least get the playoff. And what we run into with Skylar Thompson is he can't get a fucking playoff. He can't get the guys out of the huddle before 9 or 10 seconds are left, and then it's too late to do anything except snap the ball, and then he muffs the shotgun snap, and then he fumbles the ball, and now it's a sack. I mean, it was a disaster it was a disaster operationally. And how do you build in such a poor and slim margin of safety as a play caller and as an offensive guru, as they call him, that you go to the backup quarterback and this guy can't even get off a play for you. And also, we have to talk at some point about why our backup quarterbacks are even more injury prone than Tua Tagovailoa. For as much as we've talked about Tua Tagovailoa and the injuries he's taken over the years, and the concussions and stuff like that, God, Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson get injured faster than Tua does. And we've got to talk about how much you're putting on the quarterback, how much punishment you're putting the quarterback in position to take.
You forgot even Mike White in a preseason game hurt his ankle.
That's right. For how much punishment are you putting these quarterbacks in position to take that you're running into this problem? Again, why can't the Dolphins get away with things that seemingly everybody else can? And I think you have to dig deep for those answers. And I think ultimately it's going to come down to the theme of hubris. It's going to come down to, laughing in everybody's face about the offensive line, laughing in everybody's face about their concerns about the backup quarterback, saying, giving the biggest full-throated votes of confidence ever in the backup quarterbacks that they have this year. And only to watch them, trip and fall and punch themselves in the dick on the way down. I mean, that's really awful. I don't understand it. And that's unfortunately what we're faced with here. And now we're faced with a situation where we've got to make this we've got to wrestle with our own consciences as fans and hope Tua Tagovailoa comes back fast. Even if that might not be the best thing for his life, because the alternative is really not just a whole lot of pain this year, but years of pain, more years of pain. And that's the situation that we find ourselves in. And, I hear Simon 100%. I hear that frustration and I feel it too. And but unfortunately, this is the hand that they have dealt us, the hand that fate has dealt us, whatever you want to blame it on. It's just all the way around shitty.
Yeah, we're going to go to break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the players on this team, good and bad, mostly bad. But let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats. For example, touchdowns, passing yards, sacks, interceptions. I actually had Geno Smith for an interception, and he threw 2. So that was good news for me yesterday. Do what I do. Make Mondays and Thursday nights much more interesting. Tonight is Bills, Jags, Bengals, Commanders. Kind of interesting because two teams, Jaguars and Bengals, need these games. They can't lose tonight. They just can't. 0-3 is a pretty damn big hole. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head on over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code 3yards. That's the number 3 yards. And Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code 3 yards. That's the number 3 yards to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, 19 plus in Alabama, New England, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE NY or text HOPE NY to 467-369. And now from our other sponsors. Let me tell you about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sport. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. One Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September. That's right. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss this deal on PrizePicks because it's gone when September ends. Football is on the way, so do as I do and make Monday and Thursday night football more interesting. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the promo code 3yards. That's the number 3 yards and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's the code 3yards on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game.
New Balance recently announced the addition of All-American Cooper Flag to the NB family, joining Cameron Brink and an elite player roster in the brand's mission of growing the game with the next generation of athletes. In part of New Balance's ongoing commitment to supporting athletes off the court, the Boston-based brand plans to work with Cooper on community initiatives in his home state of Maine. To shop the two-way V5, Hesi-Lo V2, and all New Balance basketball products, visit newbalance.com today.
Men, when we leave the house, it's phone, wallet, keys. How's my hair look? But if you're experiencing hair loss, you may not be so confident when you step outside your door. It's time to get that confidence back and restore your hair with Hims. No man wants to lose his hair, but for men, it's actually quite common. And now with Hims, the solution is simple. Try Hims hair loss solutions and you'll be joining hundreds of thousands of subscribers who got their flow back. Men, real talk. The only thing worse than losing your hair is waiting forever for it to grow back. That's why you need Hims, and you can start seeing your hair grow back in as little as 3 to 6 months. Hims provides access to a range of hair loss treatments that work, all from the comfort of your couch. Hims makes treating hair loss simple, with doctor-trusted treatment options and clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil that can regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. They offer personalized chewable, oral, spray, and serum treatment options, so you can find what works best for you. The process is simple and 100% online. Just answer a few questions and a medical provider will determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment is sent directly to your door. Hims has hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, so if you feel like you're losing a part of yourself with your hair loss, get Hims and get your confidence back. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/Hail Mary. That's HIMS.com/Hail Mary for your personalized hair loss treatment options. hims.com/Hail Mary. Results vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Are you a South Florida property owner with an insurance claim? Are you dealing with water, mold, or fire damage to your home or business? Are you having trouble locating a 5-star rated general contractor that is fully licensed,
certified, and insured? If the answer is yes, then Water Cleanup of Florida is here for you 24 hours a day. With over 60 years of combined experience, Michael, Robert, Jorge, and their team is prepared to handle any size property damage disaster. When an unexpected damage occurs to your home or business, you need specialized, fast, and reliable services. Water Cleanup of Florida understands the impact and stress an unexpected disaster may cause. Their objective is to make the cleanup and insurance claim process painless and hassle-free. Water Cleanup of Florida is also a licensed general contractor, so they provide the A to Z service, one-stop shopping that busy homeowners and business owners require. Water Cleanup of Florida is now an authorized dealer of Eurocraft cabinets, so premier kitchen, bath, and laundry cabinetry, countertops, and other accessories are available for your viewing at their showroom in Boca Raton. Or, do you prefer to shop from your home or office? Then Water Cleanup will send you one of our design specialists to you with samples and products that fit your style and budget. Call Michael anytime on his personal cell phone if you have any questions at 954-579-0356. That's 954-579-0356. Or visit their website at wcufl.com. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram. And please check out their more than 80 5-star reviews on Google and Facebook. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they have the guts.
I'm Jalen Phillips, and you're listening to 3 Yards Per Carry.
And we're back. Now let's talk about some of these players. And I'm going to start in a really negative note because this just bothered me to no end because I've watched the play 4 times, and I'm pretty certain that Javon Holland has played cover 2 in high school and college and maybe 1,000 times in the pros. I've never seen anybody have that take on cover 2 in my life. I don't know what the hell he's thinking on that play. But you kind of feel for the defense. I think one screw up and they actually had a damn good game against Geno Smith and company, and that's a talented offense. Although they were missing their right tackle, I thought we would take much more advantage of that. Most of the pressure was on the interior. Pass rush was on point. But Javon Holland is not getting paid. As of right now, you're letting him walk. Are you, Simon?
I don't think you have a choice. I just don't know that you can pay him. I think generally he's a really good player. And it's hard when DK Metcalf is, an absolute monster running at you full speed. And we saw him run down Buda Baker a few years ago, so we know how fast he is. But, and that little step inside without losing any speed and then, going over the top. And it was just a mistake from Holland, just squared his hips, flattened his body and just got turned around. And, it's not an ideal situation to be in cover 2 as the middle of the field safety, because Poyer had clearly gone out towards the boundary, and you're literally one-on-one with a 6'4", 230-pound monster running directly at you. But I don't think he could have played it any worse than he did. Will he get paid? You'd like to keep everybody, but I just don't think that the contract is. But then it's another, it's another hole, isn't it? Because, who's going to be starting at free safety next year? Because, is Poyer going to be your guy? Is Elijah where are the replacements? Where are the, who are the guys that are going to step in and do that and do what he does? So who knows? But he didn't play that very well, Chris.
No. And at this point, I think the thing that he needs to show for probably the rest of the year is the versatility. I mean, they did whip out some 3 safety defense yesterday, and they certainly took injuries at the corner position. And I think the thing, on film review to take note of is when they went down, Kendall Fuller was out, and then Storm Duck also kind of came out. What kind of things was Javon Holland doing to help them get through that? And that's the sort of thing that if he was, shouldering a heavy load and playing multiple roles, putting on multiple hats, then that makes you feel better about paying him. So it'll be a balanced thing. Clearly, the defense played, with the exception of one play, out of their minds. I didn't hold that last touchdown drive against them after. I mean, there had to be such a letdown when the Dolphins offense
That was
finally.
the ultimate. That was the ultimate go fuck yourself offense.
Well,
Drive.
right. I mean, but the air just has to come straight out of you, like
Yeah.
the Dolphins drive all the way to and they look like they might going to make this a 1-score game, and then they can't come away with any points. I mean, that at that point, just cut it. It doesn't matter. I'm not even going to watch the film on that next drive. Um, that's the way it was. They had a massive effort, and really a surprising effort, an effort that I hadn't seen them have in a while, and I didn't know that they would have this in them actually this early in Anthony Weaver's tenure as the defensive coordinator. So it's actually, I mean, if we're going to talk about a full accounting of where the Dolphins are and where the Dolphins could be in the future, and we have to keep in mind that help could be on the way if Odell Beckham comes at a receiver position. Help could be on the way if Tua Tagovailoa does come back. And then meanwhile, this defense just showed us a little something that maybe we didn't even know that they would have this early in the season.
Bradley Chubb and the ghost of Isaiah Wynn too.
Yeah, help could be on the way with Bradley Chubb as well. So I think that there are some good things to take away from this. As Simon said earlier, yes, this is 3 games in. It's overreaction season, and we get that. I think we have very valid complaints, but at the same time, nothing is over yet. You'll see as the season wears on, and we'll see if Tua does come back. We'll see if they get some help and if they start to figure things out on the offense. I would look for the first domino to fall to be with Mike McDaniel, purely from the standpoint of trying to improve the operation of the offense. It's not about, again, it's not about couch second guessing, each play call. I'm not gonna engage in that. But operationally, there's clearly something wrong. So if you look at it, defense was so strong in this game, and have at times shown up so strong in the first 2 games as well, that there's something to build on there. There's something to build on there. And even before this game, I kind of went into it thinking, hey, I'm watching teams around the league. Some of these teams are winning with good defense. And you know what? The Dolphins tried to do exactly that. It's just the offense was that putrid.
Zach Sealer was brilliant yesterday, I thought.
Yeah, 100.
Like, genuinely brilliant.
Yeah.
And Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell, another sack,
Yeah.
and another ball he bats down. This one gets intercepted.
I mean, Emmanuel Ogbah has looked as good as we've seen him in the Dolphins.
Yeah, Ogbah was excellent.
It's a total resurgent year for him, and I get the people that keep talking about. I get a little bit touchy sometimes when I see Dolphins fans kind of pleasuring themselves, for lack of a better term, watching clips of Robert Hunt, as if paying him $20 million a year would have been a good idea. Or talking all incessantly about Andrew Van Ginkel as if Emmanuel Ogbah hasn't been kind of playing out of his mind in his place this year, or Jalen Phillips, has been clearly playing very, very well, very good football. And now we got people talking about Connor Williams. Oh, look at this combo block that he did and stuff like that, as if we haven't gotten pretty much exactly the same play that we always got from Connor Williams from Aaron Brewer, which has been a success so far. I know it's only 3 games, but I don't get that. But I will say that that they had a narrow road to travel through this offseason because of some of the challenges, and thus far they left themselves with some serious gaps.
Yeah, and even the linebacker play, I know that David Long went down, but he looked like he was ready to come back into the game, and they just held him out. Jordan Brooks as well. Yeah, this defense has a lot to look forward to. I thought they played really, really well, but enough of the good. Let's get to some of this bad, and let's do one good on offense, just one. Tanner Conner is good at football, guys. I had no idea. Like 2 special teams tackles, and if you watch him on film, he is fast. If you watch him time off the line with Tyreek Hill, he could be a useful player for this team. Now, if you can never throw him the ball because you're completely off target and off and not on time, then what use is he? But Simon, I guess that's really the only good I can get from the offense besides the obvious, which is Achan is a good player. Yeah, right. Tanner Connor is the only thing that's developed on this offense this season that's been good because I think Tyreek Hill has shown that, yeah, he could be voted the best player in the league. But if your quarterback's putrid, then you're putrid as well. Simon, your thoughts on this?
Um, so this is the Tanner Connor that has one catch for 1 yard
Yes,
this
that guy.
season,
Uh-huh.
and we're
That wasn't
talking
that
this
bad.
up as a success story.
Yeah, we're down bad, Simon.
I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, I pass on this answer.
Watch him on the All-22. He's noticeable. Fast guy. Fast guy. You got to throw him the ball. You got to throw him the ball.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
No, I would actually. I'm gonna plump for a guy that actually most people really want to cut right now, and that's Julian Hill. Just because when I went back and looked at it, the illegal motion penalty that came on him. I mean, that seemed like it was on Tyreek Hill. He was actually trying to tell Tyreek out to his side, hey, back off. You're covering me. You can't cover me up. And Tyreek just stood there and he didn't do nothing. And so Julian Hill is like, oh, fine, okay, then let me back off the line of scrimmage so that I'm not covered up. But then Skylar Thompson snapped the ball while he was doing that, and that becomes an illegal motion. And this was 1st and 6 at the goal line, fresh off of an interception. This was the first play of the drive, so there were 17 seconds on the play clock for Skylar Thompson to settle things out and notice that Julian Hill's over here losing his mind and settle guys out and get them lined up properly. There was plenty of time to do that, and he went ahead and snapped the ball anyway. So he got made to look bad on that play. One of the holds was clearly on him. He got the guy in a chokehold, for Christ's sakes. But the other hold, I mean, I felt like the defender kind of blocked him in the back, and he got called for being like kind of pushed into the other defender. Now his hand placement might not have been great, but otherwise, I look at the way he's blocking, and if you understand the way this offense works and what they need of their tight ends in it, he's doing things that the other guys are not doing so well. Jonnu Smith has been a disaster as a blocker, and that's going back to preseason. Okay, people wonder, why isn't Jonnu Smith being played more? It's because he has been a disaster of a blocker, and he continues to be during the regular season. And Durham Smythe is not the blocker that Julian Hill is. And so you can say what you want. Oh, Julian Hill is like, oh, he's not that good of a player. I get it. He's not. But he's still the best on that unit. And I'm going to include Tanner Connor on that because Tanner Connor can't block a lick unless he actually is put in position as a fullback, which is very strange. And so I think Julian Hill is all right. Like, people calling for his head already, I chill on that a little bit as a young player, because he's probably doing a lot better than you think he is. And then the other players on offense, obviously Devon Achane and Jalen Wright have been good. They've been good, genuinely good. And so they'll continue to explore those guys. But I would very much caution at the quarterback position, because I can already see it happening. If Simon mentioned Tyler Huntley, like he's going to be the next Mike Vick, right? All right, Tyler Huntley just got here, and he's not had experience in this offense before, unlike some guys. Or we're talking about Tim Boyle. Hey, the offense actually functioned with Tim. Listen, Tim Boyle, I'm not sure he saw a goddamn thing after the snap on any of the plays. Okay, he decided, he got the ball out in less than 2 seconds. And he saw, for example, on a play through to Jalen Waddle, he saw a linebacker on him, and he was just going to throw to Jalen Waddle hell or high water, even though the read could have been, kind of playing high-low against a corner, and throwing to the open man near the goal line. It would have been valuable real estate. But, the guy is not really seeing things after the snap. I think he's kind of just deciding what he's going to do before the snap, and then it happened to work out. So if we're going to try and go with Tim Boyle a lot, next game, it's going to be an adventure. But otherwise, I guess Aaron Brewer has played pretty well. I think that at time Austin Jackson has played pretty well. Let's give him some flowers a little bit. But overall, everybody's kind of part of the problem here. So there's not much to say.
Yeah, I want to talk about two people in particular. Durham Smythe. Maybe he feels the footsteps and he reads the writing on the wall, which means this is probably his last year here in Miami because Julian Hill's going to replace him next year. But he's not playing well. And not only is he not playing well, I think it's getting into his head. Because one thing you could always count on him to be is sure-handed. He had the opportunity to right all his wrongs for this season. Drops that pass. There's another play where Skylar Thompson kind of hangs him out to dry because I don't know if I've ever seen a 10-step drop, but Skylar Thompson just invented one. But Durham Smythe is usually pretty good about holding some of those blocks, and he's just getting whipped consistently. He's not playing well. The other guy that I gotta talk about him is Tyreek Hill. Not that he was disinterested, but maybe after a while,
pretty disinterested.
Yeah, he's disinterested. After a while, if you're not getting targeted, if your quarterback's incompetent and you feel as if you're wasting your time running 50, 60 yards every single play, you're going to be a little bit disinterested. But he was doing nobody any favors. And there was one play. It was the first and goal after the penalty. They run the double slant concept, right? And then they have the corner route with Waddle, where Tyreek doesn't realize the play that they ran. Once they went empty and the linebacker vacated, Tyreek has a lot of space on that slant. He has to be looking. And if you watch the play, Skylar Thompson actually looks at him, and Tyreek's not looking back at him. Tyreek's actually trying to work behind the safety for whatever reason. So
sorry, go on.
Yeah, so he completely hangs his quarterback out to dry. Not that Skylar's any good, but first of all, not involving him in the game plan was a problem as well. That he not have a carry is stupid. But I didn't like how he played in this game. If you're going to be a leader, there's many more things you can do other than getting targeted, 15 times in a game. I thought that this was easily his worst game as a Dolphin. Even with Skylar Thompson, I think I thought he just played a pretty dumb game, really.
Can we finish on a high, on a happy note? Which is, I just want to say also, I thought Jake Bailey is punting brilliantly.
Yes.
I know we don't talk about punters, but he's punting brilliantly. Can we just finish on a high though, which is just to give everybody a smile, which was the fact that on a Hail Mary play, our quarterback did a play action fake.
That is Dan Henning stuff right there.
And on the first Hail Mary that they then had a defensive penalty and then we had a free play, he, instead of throwing it towards the end zone, he threw like a 7-yard pass underneath. It was two of the most astonishing plays. And then on the second play where he go play action, he waited so long. That he got sacked anyway. Brilliant. Play action on a Hail Mary was they'll definitely fall for this guy.
It's so symbolic of the whole day.
Unbelievable. Quite unbelievable.
It was just awful.
There you go. And on that note.
Yeah. Any other low lights before we get out of here? The two guards are bad. We could say that. But Teron Armstead somehow got a concussion, got cleared, then got his eye poked, and then got a concussion again. How is that possible? How does that work?
Nah, I'd just like to throw the game in the garbage now and never think about it again.
All right. The next time we talk to you, we're going to talk about Titans, Dolphins. Hopefully a Tyler Huntley start, okay? Because I can't take any more of this incompetent quarterback play. At least this guy has, played in a playoff game, almost beat the damn Bengals for Christ's sakes. All right. In fact, he should have beaten Joe Burrow and the Bengals that day, if not for a very suspicious call. All right. We will talk on Thursday about this game on Monday, Titans, Dolphins. But Until then.
Thanks for listening to 3 Yards Per Carry. You can subscribe via iTunes, on Podbean, or your usual podcast provider.
New Balance recently announced the addition of All-American Cooper Flag to the NB family, joining Cameron Brink and an elite player roster in the brand's mission of growing the game with the next generation of athletes. In part of New Balance's ongoing commitment to supporting athletes off the court, the Boston-based brand plans to work with Cooper on community initiatives in his home state of Maine. To shop the two-way V5, Hesi-Lo V2, and all New Balance basketball products, visit newbalance.com today.
From cozy breakfast nooks to formal dining areas, Ashley has versatile dining options starting at just $499.99. And for a limited time only, you can receive a $250 mattress credit with the purchase of any 6-piece bedroom set. Plus, get 60 months special financing on select in-store purchases made with your Ashley Advantage Synchrony credit card. Shop and save today, only at Ashley. Subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. No minimum purchase required. See ashley.com for details.